Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn. I am going to be your host for today, Gregory Goldston, on Monday, this May 19th. So I'll be kicking off the week. As always, check out our Decisions YouTube channel. We got stuff that we're posting there quite often. We got a new Sayings XML video that's been updated. We have a video going over user sessions and name sessions and how to handle those in Decisions and how you can utilize user sessions or rather alter user session timeouts for better tracking data, or creating named sessions for API authentication. It's a good video. Highly recommend taking a look at that. We've also got the Solutions Marketplace with that QR code there. You can find that on our website, decisions.com, or there is a link to it from the Decisions Forum site as well. So you can get to this from two different places. And then we got the product roadmap. So you can get to that at decisions.com/events if you want to see what's coming down the pipeline in the future. Highly recommend signing up for that. You should be able to get some very good information there. So yeah, take a look at those. And while you are doing that, let me switch over to my decisions environment now. So pardon me for just a moment while I do this. This won't take very long. Yeah. Be cool if there's a little fancy swipe on this. Might find a way to implement that in the future. I don't know, just look better. Okay, so here we are. We're in the decisions environment. We got all this stuff right here from Monday LNL. I could just add more to it. So feel free to start posting your questions. Um, that's a very good question. William, I'm going to unmute you for that because we actually have a whole video talking about this, but let me start by unmuting you first. All right, you should be able to talk now. So, upload file limit in decisions. Is it 2 megabytes? No, it is bigger. But there is a limit on it. So let me mention how this works. Decisions stores files in 3 different formats. All right. And I'm going to show you that with creating a form here so you can just see them all laid out right here in the file upload section. All right. And then this is just going to be called my file. Okay. So right here, you see that the output type is file reference. Decision stores files in 3 primary different ways. You can file data, file reference, or, oh, I picked the wrong one. It's a document viewer. That's what I'm looking for. But it's file data, file reference, and as documents. All right. File references do not have a hard, fast limit in decisions as far as being able to manipulate those throughout the flow. The file reference type is going to be stored inside of your file storage, wherever you located that. So you're limited only to whatever your disk space can handle on file storage. Decisions has no hard limit on file reference, and it is the more efficient way to pass file throughout, or sorry, to pass file data or files throughout your flow. File data, on the other hand, is already preloaded and gives you immediate access, but there is, I believe it's 15 megabytes as far as the limit. Let me check that. Also, the 2 megabyte limit you're maybe encountering could be step specific. That might, if you've run into something like that, that might be based on whatever step that you're using. But file data is normally the way that files can be manipulated very quickly inside of the environment. Even though they're not the most efficient way to do it, a lot of steps take in file data because of the way that it's accessed. And I have a video discussing this a little bit more detail. But first, let me stop talking if you have any questions or clarifying information on that.
Yes, I think I'm not sure what object we use, but as you mentioned, right, file reference is a way to go, right? It doesn't have any limits, right? Limit is based on what how much storage we have it on the server, right?
That's exactly right. Wherever you, preferably file reference is going to be more performant. I know some steps require file data, and that is, you can utilize that. That's not a problem. Let me get the video because it goes into a lot more depth. Give me a moment. Where is it?
Yeah, that will be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just looking into our decisions, right? What object we used. I'm new to the decision, so sorry about that. I'm just looking into it.
Well, that's nothing you need to apologize for. It's all good. Here to, lunch in to learn. So. Here, I'm posting this in the webinar chat. It's a 12.5 minute, or close to 13-minute video discussing all the differences between file references and file data and decisions, and even some more details on storage policy that I haven't even talked about yet.
Okay, that will work. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend that. But yeah, so when you're in a flow, I can pull this up because this will again be covered in the video, but let me at least kind of go over what this looks like. I'll just call this file data. So there is a step in decisions, load from file data. All right. What this does is if you're passing in file data from somewhere, this is a quick way to convert it to a file reference to be utilized. So this step is your quick conversion step, just so that you're aware. Now you can pass in file references directly as you saw on that form that I had. If it's a user input file and not something that you're fetching from here, I can just say, okay, you can upload whatever size file you want. It'll be stored as file reference, and then we can manipulate it and work with it from there. Because the file reference data type, let me use a create data step just so you can actually see this real quick. This is going to make a bit more sense. To file reference. Let's call this file. Okay, if I select build data on this, you're going to see that it's going to have file name, file date time, and this is going to be stored in a particular folder path. So that folder path will be in that file storage, wherever you're storing that. I'm not sure how you installed it, so the default place is on the C drive under the program files decisions folder, but you could have altered that upon install. So I'm not 100% sure. But it will be pulling it from that folder path, right? Because, and that's how you get that information in order to utilize it.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I was just looking into the flow what we have, right?
Hmm.
It seems the flow takes file input, flow data is passed as upload. So I think that there will be one another flow on top of it, which would be passing this file input, right? Just looking into it.
Yeah, so here's your load from file data output. Look at this. This has the file date, time, file name, file URL, ID, the size of the file, and then the data, which is the file data type itself, right? So it contains all that file data information and it has a path that it fetches from inside of your file storage in order to get this information. So you can, again, I would recommend the video probably on the exacts and the specifics of that. But that's what you're looking to do is understanding when to use the file data, because this also goes over the pros and cons of them, like benefits for each of them and what and how to get around those, that sort of thing. Uh, there is a portal setting to adjust the file size, Vitali, but there's still a hard limit coded into decisions even with that. There may be one that's setting it smaller, but yeah, there's still a hard limit on that. But yeah, William, can I address any more questions on this for you?
That's it. Sorry, it seems my name is coming up wrong. I think somebody sent my name is Naresh. I think it's
Oh,
showing
Naresh,
Wills.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
it's showing Wills, but I'm not sure how it came as Wills. I just uh,
Okay, okay. Well, Naresh, do you have any more questions?
and not for now. I will try and watch this video, and if something I'm not able to figure it out, I will join the call tomorrow again.
Perfect. Sounds good. Please do. We'll be glad to discuss it. The person actually slated to lead that call tomorrow is the person who made this video. So
Oh,
that
that's
also,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be in good hands.
And is it possible for me to share something with you guys in this call, or it doesn't work like that? Like if I would like to share something with you guys with my decision enrollment, is it works or
So, we don't allow that in the lunch and learn calls. And the reason
okay,
for it specifically in the lunch and learn calls. And the reason for that is because we post these to our YouTube videos, like our YouTube channel, and we don't want to share customer information on our YouTube
got it.
channel. Yeah.
Got it.
If you need to show something to us, there are two ways to go to that. One is join one of the EST stand-ups. If you have a training question, we address all that stuff there. Or the other
Okay.
way is reach out to support@decisions.com. I'll put that right here because
Yeah.
they have full permissions. Any permission you give them, they can go into your environment. If you let them, they can take a look at your projects firsthand and make recommendations from there.
Okay. Okay. That works. Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool beans. Yeah, let us know if you have
Yeah.
any questions after watching that, or even later today. If you hop on the call and we're still rolling in here, if it hasn't ended yet, feel free to ask away.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I will drop off on my
All right, sounds good. I will see you later. All right, and then got our next question. Question concerning the debugger auto canceling assignments. Oh, yeah, so that is a thing. Here, let me let you talk. Yeah, that is absolutely true. That happens. All right, you should be good.
Okay. Well, that's what I was kind of getting at. I was I was wondering if that was something we were doing wrong or if that is an
No,
issue with.
this is completely let me explain how this works specifically. So if you have an add task step or a show form converted assignment, um, if you run it in the debugger, the assignment is active while the debugger is running. So if I
Right.
were to run this, I would still see it in the inbox. But the moment I end the debugger, it's gone. And the reason for that is to try to preserve or probably improve performance on the assignment table and to not
Yeah.
bloat it with tests. So you
Okay.
can check in the debugger. You just have to have a separate tab up, either incognito, different browser, whatever, in order to see that assignment while it is getting sent and the debugger is still active.
Right. But once you shut down the debugger, it's going to cancel that assignment, right?
That's correct. It's gone. It's not database saved. It's just gone.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we were seeing. So I just wanted to make sure that was a thing so that I didn't have to, worry about something else
Oh yeah,
canceling
no,
this.
nothing you're doing wrong. That is how the platform is intended to work.
Okay. All right. That answers my question then.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, and then Vitaly, we got two questions for you. In some CSV steps, there is a limit of 99 columns to map. Is that number hard coded? That's a good question because I don't know the answer to that immediately, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Here, let me allow you to talk so that we can use this
Hey,
step here. Hello, hello. Let's do where is it? Import. Is it import or is it convert? Yeah, it's data. I want to call it data rows. That I want a data row output here. Convert. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for right here. Okay. So you have an input
uh,
file of some sort, and then you output data rows, and then whenever you access that data type, right, in the data explorer, actually, I think it needs to be connected. Hold on. Hello?
I think one of the steps is the list to CSV mapping.
List the CSV mapping. Perfect. Let's do that one.
I could be wrong.
No, no, no. You're absolutely right. That should have the. Oh, I'm looking for it in the data explorer. Duh. That's why it's not coming up. List to CSV. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's unconnect, reconnect. You input some sort of list of string, output is file data, um, and then the item mapping editor, and you're dropping down your item, which is going to be build data. And then, yeah, you have a maximum number of
Oh, 49.
49. Oh, I didn't expect that. I'll be honest. I thought this was going to be 99.
Well,
Interesting.
some of them 99, some of them
Yeah,
50.
this one's called a CSV data row. It's not the dynamic data row that normally has 99. That's a different data type. This two dynamic data rows. That output of results is a dynamic data row. That's what I was looking for right there. So there's an input file on this. If I go to Data Explorer results, yeah, here's the one. All 99 fields. So let's see. The question is, can we change that? I'm good. I feel like this question's come up before, not from you, but I think this is actually a support question
It's
from.
been from me as well a long time ago.
Let me
I've
take a
asked, I
look.
put in a support ticket for that myself, and the answer was no, it doesn't go over 99. That's just the limit.
Oh, the question is, why is that needed to be hard coded inside of the backend decisions core?
That I do not know. I don't know the reasoning behind why, if that makes sense. Let's yeah, I've got workarounds. I'm seeing all workarounds like map it, like chunking it up. You can do that. You can chunk it up and put it into different ones, but as far as the 99, I don't see a reasoning behind why, if that makes sense. Yeah, it is hard coded. I've got that confirmed in here. That is hard coded. That is something that it doesn't allow for more than. I don't know why. I can ask a dev why. I'll be glad to, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Another question on top of this one would be, do you plan to create a step where you can just use, for example, C#.NET code and make it runtime?
Runtime, C# or .NET code.
Yeah, like a step where you just input your code and it will be ran.
That's pretty cool. Let me think here. To answer your question directly, as far as do you know if we're putting in something like that? No, I don't know off the top of my head if that is something coming down the pipeline. I'm actually going to learn more about updates to the product on Friday. I don't know if those updates will include that, but I will at least learn more on Friday regarding that.
For example, in version 9, you have ability to just drop DLL into your project and you don't have to restart in most cases. It depends on DLL, obviously.
Right, right. But just to have something that's runtime with that code.
Mhm.
Let me think.
For example, I think UiPath does have that, so I think it could be possible.
So you're thinking like have something a flow that puts in runtime that populates the DLL into the
It doesn't have to be a
data
DLL.
storage?
It's going to be compiled in the backend, just like code buckets, I do believe,
Okay.
and just run it.
Well, let's say it's compiled in the back end, right? And then it gets dropped into the appropriate decision server underneath the decisions folder path, right? Because that's where you're probably dropping in the DLL is from the folder path. If that can be done without a restart, then I'm trying to think what the limitation would be on running that, right? So you have something that would this is a very primitive approach, but not upload, not SFTP, where is it? Move.
Well, if you have that, that's fine, but before it's compiled, well, after that is compiled, that's fine. You will not be able to use because that will appear as a step in your library, not as a result of execution of that code.
Oh, I see. So you're not going to be able to dynamically move that and then
Yes.
yeah, you're right. There would need to be new functionality for that. That wouldn't be something that we could just make with existing. The closest thing I could think of is using the move file in conjunction with a runtime selection for an ID that gets generated automatically. But even then, you wouldn't have the step generate there, you know? So that's
Right, because it's going to be generic. You don't know what the inputs and outputs of that step.
exactly, yeah, that wouldn't be able to work. You'd have to have some sort of uniform format, and even then, I'm not sure if you could do it without some sort of additional functionality to the platform. Might I ask if there's a use case for this? Why we would want to have this at runtime? I just want to understand.
Oh,
I mean, it's a cool concept, but I'm just trying to understand what the use case would be. So, like, what could be accomplished with this that couldn't be accomplished with other steps in the platform?
I don't know from top of my head, but I know that UiPath does have that step that you can just run code in your flow.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can ask about that. I don't really know if that's a planned change. I haven't heard anything from support either on that from other customers, but I can take a look into that for you and get back to you.
Okay.
And you had another one in the debugger. Is there a way to create breaking points? What do you mean by that?
So in traditional debugger, when you code, you can create a breakpoint, and when you debug, it will stop there, no matter what. And you can analyze. So for example, if you end up somehow in infinite loop in debugger in decisions, uh, it's almost like you cannot stop it.
No, you couldn't stop that unless you altered the recursion policy specifically on the flow properties to stop at a certain point.
Yes, you can stop it at one, right?
Right, right. Yeah, if you're trying to debug and you know what you're getting into, then you can specify that before you run the debugger. But what you're looking for is something that's a little bit more dynamic to the debugger being run, right?
Yes, so if, for example, if I have subflows and like a massive flow, and I would like debugger to stop on the first iteration of somewhere like deep down in my process to analyze why am I ending up in infinite loop, for example.
Mm. Yeah, this will just run instantly. Hold on. Let me just create that real quick just so that we can. This will probably run instantly, to be honest. Nope. Cool. Yeah, this just keeps running. I can see each individual step like this and go through it, but it's not quite the same thing. Here's our execution dashboard. And then what exactly has run in that debugger here. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's not necessarily created one. What you need to do is like break it off at that section where you want to, or just change the recursion policy. But yeah.
At least it would be cool when you debug, if you see that you are going into infinite loop, just stop and analyze why. Just
Yeah,
create like a button to stop debugger.
right, right. Just something that halts it at this point while it's still running instead of, yeah, just having it flow through the whole way without exiting, of course. Honestly, I think that's just fixed with a debugger stop button because you can do the lot, like you can look there and just say, okay, it's obviously going in infinite loop because if here's my thought on this. If you don't know if you know it's going into an infinite loop and you're trying to stop at a particular point, you have all that knowledge beforehand, you just set the recursion policy. If you don't have that knowledge beforehand, if you don't know it's going to run to an infinite loop and you catch that during runtime during the debugger runtime, then yeah, just having a stop button would be the solution to that. It doesn't have to be stop based on logic, because if you're doing it based on logic, you just set this up here beforehand, right? But yeah, just having some sort of stop button would be really cool.
I think another thing that what he's alluding to too is that in debugging, it'd be nice if you can debug just certain parts and let the rest of them not, clog up the debugger, windows. If you just want to debug one routine, it'd be nice to be able to say, start debugging here and debugging here. Kind of put,
Oh, instead of from start to finish, like you pick a
yeah, like
step and
if
it
you
goes
have
through.
a huge project that's got, say 30, 40, processes in it,
Hmm.
it'd be nice to be able to set, okay, only run this process through the debugger, let the rest of it go. I'm not worried about that. I know it works. I want to focus on this process, but I don't want to have to sift through, 100 lines of debugger to get to that. You know what I mean?
I do.
James, it's going to be hard to debug just one piece of flow because you don't have data, but I get what you're saying. So instead of rendering all processes that going on, just pick which process
Right.
do you want to render on the
Right.
UI.
Right. Because I mean, in subflows, you can see what came into it. If you're confident that the rest of your code is okay and you just want to debug one subflow, be nice to be able to say, start it here and you know, like a lot of the classic debuggers have that functionality where you can
Yes.
start it and stop it at different points, just so you can focus in on one section of code.
Right.
And James, that was my point, to create a like a breakpoint in debugger, so you
Exactly.
can stop and analyze what
Yeah,
data comes in and comes out.
yes, that's exactly what I didn't use the word breakpoint. That's what I should have used. Yes, a breakpoint. Be able to set breakpoints in your debugger.
Well, I was gonna say I have a feeling that as far as what the devs are concerned with that, if you're looking to do subflows, you just run the debugger in the subflow, right? You get the input, you get the output, you set it up that way. If you're looking for processes that are not part of the subflow that we're trying to section out, though, I could see that being handy. But if it's like you want to test if a subflow works, you just go in the subflow and run the debugger. Because if you're
Well,
not concerned
Gregory,
about what's on the input and
yeah,
output.
but
you need to have data to run
yeah,
subflow.
that data could be complex going into that subflow, and you might not be able to recreate it exactly each time. You know, it can, because we've done that, of course, but sometimes these processes are kind of complex and it builds the data as it goes. And you don't, you just want to debug that in the process. You don't want to, you don't necessarily know, you don't have a UAT that you can put in there, you know.
Right, right. I get what you're saying. And just to be able to do that without seeing the rest that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd just be nice. I know that's not part of the debugger now, but that would be a really nice feature in the future.
I can definitely ask about that as far as what plans are with the debugger. I know that the Flow UI is going to get an update at some point. I don't have the specifics on that, and I can let you know once I know and once I'm told I'm allowed to let people know. So 2 points of entries of barrier right there. But there is going to be an update to the way that the UI works entirely in the Flow Designer, and I wonder if that may or may not be a part of it or something that I can try to ask for in regards to that overhaul. But that is a theory. I do not know for certain. I will need to run that by the people who can make those changes. But yeah, honestly, it's a great idea. I like the idea behind it. At least I didn't design it, so there could be a reason why, but it's definitely something that I can inquire about.
Gregory, back to my 99 or 49 columns.
Mhm.
I know that if you have like a huge object with lots of properties,
Mhm.
you can pick properties, right? Why can't we do that for the columns to map? Same, how many columns do you want to map?
Because you're not mapping it to a data row. You're mapping it to a data row. You're not mapping it to an object. That is to say, it takes in a CSV file, right? It can take it in at runtime. It doesn't know exactly what every column is going to be at that point. That's what the convert Excel CSV step is for, right? If you're looking for, where is it? Wrong one. I'm just going to put Excel. Where did you go? It's, where are you? That's it, right? Extra columns, more columns. Here, you're actually mapping the columns, right? You have your input type, you go into your output type. Once I specify my output type right here, it'll start mapping columns. So if I pick a count, now whatever columns I want to map, let's say 5, expected type. Here, I actually get the columns that I'm mapping to, and I'm going to skip, or not skip, I'm going to choose the number of that property that's coming in from my CSV or Excel file, right? This is not necessarily constricted by the 99 rule here, because this is not a dynamic data row data type. What we're talking about is a dynamic data row data type, which is, I think, in a different flow. Did I get rid of that? I might have. Oh well. But it's in a dynamic data type, your dynamic data rows that have that limit on those columns right there. So those are the ones where it doesn't know the properties. It's completely blind. It's converting it to a type that's designed to handle basically any data type you give it without mapping objects. And that is why that one has the cap. That one is not related to matching object names. This one is what you're going to do if you're looking to do that.
Okay, Another question on CSV to Excel. So let's say that in your CSV file you have, let's say, 5 million rows.
Okay,
Can
5
you
million rows.
convert it to Excel?
I don't know if Excel has a hard limit on the number of rows that it has. It
It
may be
does.
less than 5 million.
It's about,
That's a
could
good
be wrong.
question.
It's about 1,400,000, I guess, something like that.
I have never made an Excel file that big, so I have not, or CSV file that big, so I have not attempted that before. I do not know what would happen. I don't mind creating one and trying that. That sounds kind of fun, but I don't know off the top of my head what kind of conversion error would happen if there would be any. If it just truncates the data, I'm not sure how it handles that. Does it throw an error? Does it truncate it? Do we get a new error we've never seen before? I'm not sure.
Right, because point here is that CSV is just a text file. It could be 1 gig,
Right.
like could be huge. And Excel, it does have hard limit of rows, I do believe.
Yeah, so does that XL or XLS? Like, do you know what kind? So if I am
I think both.
both, all right, yeah, constant flow type. So yeah, both of these right here. Gotcha. I have not tried that. I don't know how Decisions handles that error. I would prefer not to use the rest of the lunch and learn time creating a 5 million row CSV with data in it, but I don't mind testing that or even asking around if anyone knows. I don't think I've encountered that before. Is this something you've run into, like a problem, or is just more like a curiosity what would happen?
I know there is a limit. I did work with that huge files in CSV, but I handle it. I used workaround because I knew that it's gonna be an issue. So basically, I created split uh, Excels.
Okay, yeah, and you split it up to whatever. Okay, interesting. What is I'm gonna actually look up that hard. You said it was around 1 million.
I do believe you can Google it, but I do believe it's 1,400,000.
I am Googling it.
Like,
I'm actually very curious. Yeah, 1 million, 1,048,000 and
uh,
576 rows.
okay, I was wrong.
No, it was close. It was close. It's pretty close. It just the four got thrown from the 100,000s to 10,000s place. Um, let's see. Yeah, I guess there are workarounds for this, but yeah, it is just over 1 million rows, it looks like, is going to be the hard limit on that Excel type file. And then there are different workarounds. One is split off across different Excel worksheets, right? Once you hit a certain amount, you can just put it on a different worksheet instead. But that may or may not work for everyone's use case. So you can put it in the same file, just have different worksheets, convert CSV
I
to
would,
Excel.
the way I've done it, I split CSV itself and then converted.
That works too. Yeah, you can split the data that's coming in, or you can split up in decisions by like, oh, this recur, actually, if you're just mapping it this way, that's probably not going to work as well. But you could have some sort of error handling set up for that. But I would assume that you could set it up in different worksheets. But yeah, splitting it up works too. I'll look. I actually am curious what error it throws. I think that'd be kind of fun to know what that would be. But I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, hopefully that answers that question as much as I can. I will try to research. Well, research is just test. I'm just gonna make a really, really big CSV file and then go from there. But yeah, sounds good. Yes.
Yeah, another question. What's gonna happen if you create a file and file name starts with dot?
File name starts with dot. I don't know if it's gonna hate that. It's not gonna like it. I'll tell you that.
Well, will you be able to download that file if you create a form and file name will be, for example, dot backslash?
I'm gonna guess that it won't download correctly because anytime I've worked with file data and decisions and the name has something weird in it, it just breaks. If there's no name, if the name is strange, it just breaks. Doesn't matter if all of the list of bytes are fine. So I'm gonna guess that would probably break as well. So if we were to create a file that's whatever dot dot and then download here, I'll test that right now. We'll run a download file stat. Where are we? I can't find it. There we go. Delete that. Don't need that. Don't really need you as well. Pick existing files, pick that. We're going to edit that. And then we're going to pick a file download option. And then I actually want that as file data. It's just going to be easier to manipulate on the outside. And you know what? I should probably have an outcome path now, shouldn't I? Done with that. Save. Delete that. Give me a moment. We're going to build data. Contents is a constant. I do have a file that I want to use. Give me just a moment to pull it up. Where'd you go? Got it. Got the decisions logo right here. So if I just do something weird here, I don't think it's going to like me at all. I really think this is going to break. If I download it. Did it work? I'm going to guess that answer is probably no. It's just called file. Actually, funny enough, it didn't like it. It didn't recognize the file type when I upload it by contents. And because I didn't specify, I think the name after the file, like the type, it's just listing as a file type. It also ignored the 2 periods on the download, by the way. It just took the name. So it ignored these 2 inputs beforehand. So let's say if we do this dot JPEG, right? Because it was an image file that I uploaded. Let's see if that works. Save that, debug, run that, download the file. Does it like that? Well, that looks a little bit different. Oh yeah. So here I'll bring over so y'all can see. And it just named it test, by the way. It ignored the 2 periods beforehand. It didn't even try.
Can you do something like what you would have done, like cd dot dot slash, so you can,
Change directory.
yes.
Okay, okay. I don't mind. Let me check first before. I want to make sure no one else has any further questions before we do that because I want to address, problems that people may have first. So I don't see any more in the Q&A. That for everyone in here, please put your questions in the Q&A. We'll be glad to address them at any point. All right.
Oh, do not do cd, just dot is it backslash or forward slash? Forgot.
I think it's /, right?
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah, and I'll drop the space as well. Sure thing. Let's see if this works. Save it. Debug. All right, we'll download the file. And on my end, it looks like it dropped it. Let me confirm. I don't think it. Yeah,
You dropped it?
it dropped it. It completely dropped it. And it's still in the same place on my
Okay.
folder tree.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yep, ignored that completely. All right, we have a Q&A question. I'm going to address that. Is there a way to find requeued actions from a failed scheduled job? Let me let you talk, and I think I know what you're getting at here, but let me get some clarification. All right, so you're in scheduled jobs. I don't know if you're on V8 or V9, but this is the same process, either project level or global level. Got a scheduled job. We've got a scheduled job right here. We are gonna call this I'll just call this fetch accounts. I just want something simple here. Okay. We got a scheduled job, we got a description, we pick a flow that's going to run. I'll call it subflow test. I don't think I have anything going on there. Calendar, we specify how often it's running. Let's say it's a weekly schedule. All right. So you're talking about where the requeue if job fails is located? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So let's save that. And that should be, if I recall, in the scheduled jobs log. So here's the failed count. And then scheduled jobs log is going to show you have delayed jobs here, get stuck behind, not interval jobs, not startup jobs, thread jobs. Might get queued here. Let's make this fail. Let's do this. Let's go make this fail. All right. So we've got subflow test. This is just start step to end step. I'm just going to add something here that is clearly going to break because I don't have any information in it. We'll save that. Save it. Now our scheduled job has that in it. Let's go to our scheduled job right now, which is going to be under here. Right click and we're going to run it. Yes. All right. Access running. Let me give this a refresh. Job status running, job duration. The queue name is in default queue. So if you go to thread jobs right here, you're going to see, actually, I would go to the global one. That's going to be easier. System, administration. No, sorry. Jobs and events, scheduled jobs. Go to scheduled jobs right here. Here's the one right here. This one's running, right? And it's in the queue. So if we go to scheduled job log, all right. These are all the scheduled jobs that have run, and these are the pending jobs, right? So if it's in here, it is pending. It is not finished yet. If you're going to look for scheduled jobs that are currently in a queue, this is where you check, all right? And then we go to thread jobs. Remember, we put this in the default -queue, right? So if you're looking at another job that's queued up to run, it's going to be in that queue that you specify in your scheduled job right over here in the thread jobs report. All right. Yeah. Now, let me go back to that because you can specify different queues, and I highly recommend that as well because then you're not putting in a system default queue and they're not running over each other. So if I go in here, you will notice right here, override job queue name. Here's where I specify what queue that job is going to wait in. So if you have a job that you know is taking a while to execute and it's blocking your other jobs, you should probably put that job in its own queue so that other jobs aren't delayed by it. But that would be where you check. Can I provide any more clarity on that question?
Is there a way to stop it if the number of attempts is infinity? It's a way to stop it from requeuing.
If this is set to 0 and the number of attempts is infinity.
Mhm.
All right. There are two ways to do that. One, change this number of attempts and update it. And then if it's already queued, go to your thread jobs. Actually, go to the server wide one because you're just going to be able to see all of them. Go to your thread jobs, right click the job, and then clear the job. Or you can force it to run now, right? So if it's queued up already, clear it. If it's already queued to run and you're trying to make it run, do run now. As far as the scheduled jobs right here, not scheduled jobs. Where are you? Scheduled job log. Here we go. Hello? Why can't I click this? That didn't work. Show running scheduled jobs right here. And that gives you a little dialog window for that if you want to see it. But right here, this is your thread job queue. And this is the place where you can clear that job from that queue in order to make sure that it is not queued to run anymore. If I recall, if it's already running, let me go to flow management. Let's see here. Where are you? Workflow queues. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? That's not it. Running flows. Yeah, you should be able to also find it in running flows if it is currently running and then be able to cancel it from somewhere on this flow management dashboard. Let me get you more specifics on that, but those are the two places you're going to be looking. You're going to be checking the flow management dashboard. I don't think it's event viewer. I'm pretty sure that thread jobs. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. All right. So under event viewer, you got clear job right here. It's the same thing in the scheduled jobs. It's the same report. All right. It has the same information as the scheduled job ones under event viewer. And then there's a new thing. This is actually a new feature in decisions 910 where you have the thread job history to see exactly everything that was run right here and in what queue. But you're going to be looking here, mostly either in the event viewer thread jobs, or you can just go to the scheduled jobs itself and click the thread jobs report. And that will show you all of them that are queued to run, and you can clear it. And then if you have multiple in this queue, like if you queued it to run infinitely, that's where you just alter the scheduled job itself to make sure it's not queued to run infinitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll send you more information if I get it. But I'm pretty sure that should be what you need to assist with the issue you might be running into. If you're still having an issue after these steps, reach out to support@decisions.com. They'll be able to go inside of your environment and like manually make those changes for you.
Thank you.
Anything else I can assist with?
I think that's all. I'm just gonna see if I can hunt it down now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if you have any more questions.
Okay, I do have one update to that file with dot slash.
Mhm.
So when you use create data,
Uh-huh.
create file data,
Mhm.
that creates a file on a server, right? On decision server.
So create data step.
Yeah, and
Okay.
create file data.
All right. Yeah.
That creates a file in on the server
Right.
in temp folder.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you use that slash, would that create that file not in the temp folder, but would that traverse up? So can you
You're asking if it would traverse outside of file storage, decisions, program files, that sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
So not
I
the download step, because download is the client download that
right. You're
makes
talking
sense.
about where it gets created as far as here goes. So same thing, constant. I'll drag over that one thing I was talking about before. Give me a moment. And then hold on. We'll drag this over right here. And then you're talking about the file name being the dot
That
slash and then call this test file and see if it gets created in the temp folder or outside of the temp folder rather, right?
yes.
All right, let's give that a save. Let's give that a debug. All right, I'll keep that up. I'm going to go look at my folder tree on my other screen here, if you will give me just a moment. And the answer is, let's see. That's not it. Let me see here. Is it in here? Um, I don't see it. What's my ID on this? There's the ID. D9. Okay, give me a moment. I'm just gonna go in there and confirm that's in that location. Let's see, file storage, primary, temp, D9. Give me a moment. D9. It's under flow data. I should mention, not the temp folder. It's in the flow data folder. And it's in here. It's in its proper spot under flow data. It's still just called test file, and it is in the proper directory.
So it didn't traverse back.
It did not traverse it at all. No, it's still where it's supposed to be saved.
Okay. I think it used to be different in version 8 or 7.
That could have been an update at some point along the way.
But that's cool.
Yeah. All right. Let me make sure there aren't any more Q&As lined up real quick, because if there are, is there? Yeah, we already addressed that. All right, cool. I think we're good to end this one. I don't see any more Q&As, and I'm not seeing any more people joining. So thank you all very much for attending. I will not be leading tomorrow's, but I will almost certainly still be here in the lobby. So look forward to seeing you all later. Have a good day.